Good morning, Sarah Berry, CPA from Texarkana, Texas here with video number 2 in our series of tax savings tips for small businesses. And today we have joining us Jared Harrington. He is a CPA here on our team, and we are going to be discussing the ever so popular and controversial home office deduction and how qualifying for this deduction could actually be a twofold benefit. So a home office deduction in and of itself is not a huge deduction. If you do the simplified method, it's $5 a square foot for the specific business use area with a maximum of a $1,500 deduction. So is it really worth taking the home office deduction to deduct $1,500? Well, it may be if it qualifies you for an additional deduction. So, Jared, tell me, I'm a small business, and if I establish that my principal place of business is in my home office, what additional deductions could I possibly qualify for?
As a small business owner, if you can say that your home office is your principal place of business, we can take your mileage that would usually be calculated as commuting mileage and use them as business miles.
So your commuting mileage is your mileage from your home to the client's office or to an office where you have administrative duties, etc. And
Yes.
That's typically not deductible.
And that is typically not deductible, yes. But if we can calculate, or if we can use those as business miles, then we can try to get your business use percentage up over 50%, where then we can start taking depreciation instead of mileage.
Okay, Jared, so you said that if I got my business use over 50%, I might could get a bigger deduction. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, if under 50% you can't use depreciation, above 50% you can depreciate the vehicle. So if you can get it above 50% and add that on to a larger SUV, larger pickup truck, you can depreciate the full vehicle.
Okay, so basically I would take my mileage over the entire year, and if I used it more than half of the time for business purposes, I would get a larger deduction for my SUV or pickup truck.
Yes.
Very good. And by not having to count those miles from my home to my client's office or wherever I'm working, if I didn't have to count those as commuting mileage, it would help me get over that 50%
It would help you get over
threshold.
that 50%, yes.
Very good. Okay, Jared, can you quantify for me a pretty close estimate of the tax savings? Let's say that I bought a $50,000 SUV before the end of the year. And if I had to count my mileage from my home to my place of business as commuting mileage, that I would only have like a 30% business use.
Okay.
But if I established my home office as my principal place of business, then my business use of my vehicle would be 70% instead of 30%. So could you tell me roughly how much that would save me in taxes?
Yeah, if it was a $50,000 vehicle and you were at 30%, you would get a $3,000 depreciation roughly a year, and that would quantify into a $750 a year tax savings.
Okay.
However, if you were able to get that at 70%, then you would be able to take $35,000 of depreciation. And as long as you were able to Section 179, that depreciation, and write it off in 1 year, you could potentially have $8,700, $8,800 tax savings in that 1 year.
Wow, so that's an $8,000 difference in my taxes. So I would have $8,000 more in my pocket
In that
first year.
Yes.
By establishing that my home office is my principal place of business.
Yes. And not only that is you would also have the difference in interest and gas, and instead of being able to deduct 30% of your interest expense on that loan, on your gas and all that, you would be able to deduct 70% of those expenses related to that automobile.
Very good. All right, guys, so that wraps up our Tax Tip Tuesday for the day. But, of course, before I go, I'm going to throw out some disclaimers the home office deduction has some specific things that you have to qualify for in order to get this deduction. Like I said at the beginning of the video, a home office deduction in and of itself is not huge. But as you can see from Jared's quick example, if a home office deduction will qualify you for a larger automobile deduction, it can be huge. So don't just automatically assume if you have a corner in your office, in your home with a computer in it, that you would qualify for this type of deduction. There are specific things that you have to do to qualify for it. So as always, seek out professional tax advice. Thanks so much, and join us next week for our video number 3 in the series of tax saving tips for small businesses.